Welcome to the first edition of Saints Athletics Coaches Corner. My name is Aaron Todd. I'm here with St. Lawrence football coach Dan Puckhaber. Puck, obviously, this is a very different year. No games scheduled for you. You're normally back in mid-August. Here we are.
Beginning of August. You guys show up mid-August. We're there for a couple weeks before all you guys get there.
Well, but the players arrive in mid-August. And, here we are the last day of August when we're recording this interview. And, your team is on campus, but you're still not able to meet with them as we go through the testing protocols. Can you talk about, the mood? Obviously, I know you're in touch with your players and your coaching staff. Can you talk about the mood among the team and how you're going to approach this semester?
Yeah, I mean, it's well, first off, thanks for having me on. And it's definitely a mood where you're trying to do as much as you can, but you're doing it you're trying to do it as safely as you can. So we do a lot more Zoom meetings. The guys are really excited to see the coaches or to hear about them, to hear from them. So when we do have the Zoom calls, there's a lot of smiles. You still see that excitement like we normally would at the start of a football camp, except now it's on the other side of a monitor on your computer screen. I think about some of the first years that are on campus right now, and they got introduced to college, directly from our FYP, comparative to where they don't have those almost that 2 weeks of hanging out with their football brother and in their locker room on campus alone before everybody else gets here. So the mood is good. I mean, it's one of those as good as it can be, because you do get those every couple days, an opportunity to say hello on Zoom to them. Or if I'm taking a trip around campus on a jog, there might be a couple guys out that are excited to say hello to you. But it's definitely different. I mean, normally we start August 1st and we go and we're cranked until this Friday was supposed to be our opener, and we wouldn't have had a day off in between those 2 days. And I was watching the football game that was on Saturday night, and I'm like, man, we should have just been getting home from our Castleton State scrimmage. It's very different. Our kids know it, but they also understand they're in a world event right now, and they're doing everything they can to stay on campus. And yes, we don't have football, and I'm the football coach saying that there's some other things that are a little bigger than us that we got to get through.
How do you plan to use your year, I guess? There's a change in NCAA rules. Normally, obviously, your primary season's in the fall, and you get a non-traditional season in the spring where you get to play spring ball, you get to evaluate some guys, and obviously you missed out on almost all of that in the spring anyway. But now you get 114 days that you can use however you see fit. I know some of this is probably in flux. It depends on what happens this fall, but right now, what is your plan for those 114 days?
Well, the first thing is that out of our 114 days, we're going to try to do a majority of them in the fall, if we can get to the point where we're allowed to practice. And it'll be no more than about 10 guys on a practice field at a time. And we were hopefully going to try to set up 3 practice fields going at once, but keep the 3 groups separated, just so you can have 30 people out there practicing at once, get film on them. Now, the one thing that's different about football comparative to a lot of the other sports is we're not going to be in equipment, and which means we're not practicing our sport. We're going to be out there doing some things, but football without pads isn't football. So you're just, as I've stressed to the guys and kind of our mentality this fall and during this entire probably academic year, because I don't see us getting allowed to use equipment for the entire year, is make the most of it. If we got an hour together with a group of 10 to get something done, make the most of that hour. And there's some small things that you can do, communication, some routes or some drops or just some different movements that we can train. That, yes, it's not quote unquote the best version of football that we've ever practiced, but if that's what the rules and what our expectations on campus are going to allow us to do, we're going to make the most out of that hour every day.
You mentioned the small groups as part of our sort of resocialization plan, starting in small groups, perhaps hopefully growing to larger groups as the semester and as the year progresses. Can you talk a little bit about those precautions that need to be taken? And if you're comfortable, just talk a little bit about your own personal health situation and what you're going to be doing to make sure that you stay safe this
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those, we always want to try to limit our interactions, which means limit our risk. So if when we're out in a group, especially when we're on campus at practice, if we can limit our interactions to just that 10 or 12 people at once, and that's it, you're limiting the risk of you contracting this virus or spreading the virus, because sometimes you might have it and not even know you have it. And then we have all these parameters in place because if essentially we're trying to protect the 1%. We're trying to protect the people that this could be, a mortal disease for them. So for us, and then specifically for me, I am in that 1%. I am somebody that's in the middle of chemotherapy treatments and still get my treatments on Thursday morning. So the doctors have been very, very adamant for me as being like, hey, make sure you're not putting yourself out there at a greater risk than you need to still try to function the way you want to. And we've decided, specifically my wife and I and my health professionals, that because our practices are always outside, that's where I'll be able to be. And then I will be at a distance when I am at practice. The good thing is that I've been blessed with some killer good looks, but I've also been blessed with a very large vocal cords. So if I'm extra 15 or 20 yards away from my football team or my group that I'm working with, they will still be able to hear me just fine with my genetic adaptation of having the large vocal cords. So it's helped out.
Obviously, this year is going to be different in every way. It's also going to be different in terms of recruiting. A lot of the high school football teams out there won't be playing. It's going to be harder to evaluate some of those players. Campus visits are going to be perhaps more difficult. What are the things that you're doing to stay in touch with that next recruiting class and to let them know about, how special St. Lawrence football is?
I think the biggest thing that we can get through during the recruiting during a pandemic is we're going to do everything we can to just communicate the information that we can. Is because when you're going through recruiting, first and foremost, you got to find the people that, or the athletes that we're looking for. The guys that take education seriously, have a passion for football, and that are pretty goal oriented. So by utilizing Zoom or utilizing some of these different communication tools that we now have out there, we're able to still have that one-on-one interaction without being one-on-one in person, which is definitely, I've never done as many Zoom calls with recruits one-on-one and their parents than I ever have until this summer. So you're still able to have that 15, 20, 30 minutes of one-on-one time to try to answer and try to find out their personality, and they're going to find out my personality and our football team's personalities and expectations. Now, the biggest thing is, I remember last year when the pandemic hit, where we were so worried about the seniors. We were so focused on the seniors. Look at what they're missing. They don't get a graduation, all that. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the real group that we should be worried about is the juniors, because they lose part of their junior year. Their summer, where a lot of kids are doing a lot of visits, they can't really leave home. And then they're missing part of their senior season. So I'm really stressing it to those guys that I get on the Zoom calls as being like, hey, we're still here. We still know who you are. Even though you didn't get a chance to play this year, we're still interested in you. If you are doing things athletically, show them to us on the film that you normally would when you would send us your highlight video. And then just be active. And that's probably the biggest thing, is like all the colleges, and I think not just St. Lawrence, but a lot of the schools out there are doing a great job of just trying to find a way to still recruit and be who we are and show off what we can show off. But I think when we start really looking back, we feel sorry for last year's seniors, but I think we're going to figure out that we should be more worried about these juniors that really are missing out on having opportunities to visit colleges in person.
You mentioned, finding a way. I think that's kind of going to be the theme of this year. I think we can all take a lot of pride in what St. Lawrence has done so far in terms of getting our students back on campus. As we tape this, we've had 2 positive cases out of over 2,000 tests. So I think we can all celebrate that to some degree. But by the same token, there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of making sure we stay open. And, we've seen colleges in the state that have had to shut down and go to remote learning.
Yep.
We've seen colleges that have shut down athletic activities. So, how important is it for, all of our students and all of our faculty and staff and everybody in the St. Lawrence community to follow those guidelines?
I think it's first off is that it is August 31st and the kids have been here over a week, and damn it, we're still here. So congratulations. I know that there was so much extra effort put in this summer just trying to find ways for us to offer what St. Lawrence can offer in residential college and residential learning on campus for these kids to get back here, and the effort and the thought process they put into those, and trying to find a 3-semester plan and just trying to find the different ways to reach the state's requirements, and then implementing all those new plans, implementing that plan. And then once the kids get here, then once everybody has gotten here, it's making sure that, hey, if we can get everybody to follow and do what we know we need to do. And I think that when you have the amount of protocols that were required of everybody before they got on campus, and once the kids got back here and all the students got back here, and then really, I believe, doing a great job of social distancing on college campus, that if you talk to people that have gone through the college process or college experience with not during a pandemic, and you told them this is what your expectations were, you'd be like, man, there's no chance I would ever have made it. And I definitely think that I probably would have been one that was challenged by that. But then again, this is just human nature. We're finding a way to get it done. And I think that's something that St. Lawrence does a really great job of, and it creates those kinds of students. Like St. Lawrence has a bunch of students here. We're a 44% acceptance rated school. We have a bunch of smart kids on our campus. They know what they need to do, and I feel that I have trust in them that they're going to do what is needed. The other point is a bunch of people on campus with a lot of confidence. So if they see somebody that may not be maybe pushing the line or not doing it, they're going to bring them back. They're going to tell them, hey, this is going to affect more than just you. This is going to affect the how many people plus on our campus that if our school's not open are going to lose their jobs, and how much bigger that is than just being able, because, well, I can't get together with 15 of my friends at once. So, no, I think we know what the parameters are. The school and the kids have done a phenomenal job so far of being a week here, and we're still here. And damn it all, that's pretty good.
And we're going to do everything we can to make sure we're here through Thanksgiving break and beyond, right, for those who stay here for that time. So.
One day at a time. That's all it is. Just do it one day at a time, and we just got to do the right thing. And it's a good example for our kids to learn that how much you can get out of the world or get out of your experience if you just always do the right thing.
Well, Puck, I appreciate your time. Thanks for lending your wisdom, and certainly we're gonna miss seeing St. Lawrence football on the field this year. Yep. But we look forward to seeing all the great things that you do on campus.
Thanks, Aaron.